gonna do? I can't tell you, but I shock it too. Say it's your game. Do what you wanna do now. I can't.
Well, hello, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to episode 6 of the Rockstar Roadie podcast. I'm your host, ONeil. Before we start, I've got to do my whole legal spiel, as you all know. I am not a therapist, neither is my guest. Therefore, our thoughts and our processes and how we deal with shit is just that of our own. We offer no medical advice. We offer to help you think about what you need to do. That's about it. And the 2 rules of the podcast, as everybody knows, there is no politics and there is no religion discussions because, well, a lot of reasons. But anyway, so let me bring in my first guest of the day, episode 6. Very good man, a lot of mutual friends. We have known each other through the years. We have never, I don't think, been in the same room. We're trying to determine that. Can't figure that out. We've definitely never toured together, but we have a multitude of the same friends, dear friends, good people. Please welcome Mr. Bobby Schneider.
Good morning. Or
Hey, buddy.
It's pretty way afternoon. So
Yeah, it's
anyway, good
afternoon. It's afternoon. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. Good.
So, as I mentioned, we've got a slew of really good friends, and the list would just probably continue if we kept opening up Pandora's box. But, tell us how you started in this industry. I mean, that's always where I kind of like to go.
It's a pretty good story. I'd started to try to play some guitar. Must have been, I don't know, maybe 13. So I had a classical guitar, learned a few chords on that. It's it's everybody's story about trying to play guitar that maybe ended up not doing it.
Yeah. Yep.
And anyway, I had that for a while, and then I convinced my folks to get me an electric guitar, and I took some lessons, and they were boring. And I said, this before I had the electric guitar. And I said, well, I just want to play Jimi Hendrix. And teacher's like, well, you're going to have to learn some stuff to do that. I go, no, I'm not. I want to play what's in my head. Anyway, that was short-lived. Then I got the electric guitar, and that was probably even more short-lived. But somewhere along the way, I was going to a boarding school, and me and this guy connected, and I met this guy. It's a bad nickname. I'm sure no one that listens to this is going to know him or remember him, but we called him Black Charlie. He was probably one of the first black roadies in the business, probably even, I'm sure, before Benny, and maybe around the time Charlie Hernandez started, but, I don't think Malcolm was around. I mean, how sad is it that we can name some top people of color, and it's still a handful. It's it's completely disheartening. Anyway,
Malcolm, by the way, not to interrupt you, but Malcolm Weldon, such a dear friend, such a great guy.
Great guy. He's he's salt of the earth.
Yep.
We should all take our lead from him. And he's a friend. So anyway, we got turned on to this guy, and he was a roadie for Hot Tuna. Wow. And so I was kind of enamored. I listened to them, and I was sort of on the fringes, like the kind of Grateful Dead. And so I started kind of hanging around where his folks hung out in New York City, Central Park, the band shell. And at some point, those guys came up. They had a band too. And I was going to this boarding school. At some point, his band came up, and they did a show in like an empty, I don't know, was it an empty, it was an auditorium, so maybe it was the gym. And they were like a real traveling band, only, so to me, that was my first experience. So anyway, I was exposed to that, and then I think I went a little out of line here, but somewhere in the story, I went to see a mountain concert at what then was the Felt Forum in New York. Now it's the theater at Madison Square Garden.
Yep.
And it was all GA back in the day. So
yep. I remember.
If I remember right, the stage was in the same place. Yeah, sort of at the end there, facing 34th Street. Anyway, I'm standing there and I'm alone, and I'm 13. And I'm standing there and I'm listening to Mountain. And, I'm basically, I was always a big kid. But anyway, I was obviously not 30. So, hippies are listening to this. And then Leslie West, famous Leslie West, breaks a string. Dash, Roadie goes out on stage, gives him a guitar. And I can curse on this, right?
This is...
And the fucking light bulb went off. And I said, that's what I'm going to do. But I didn't know what that job was called. So this must have been before I met all the Hot Tuna guys. But it doesn't matter.
Right.
Anyway, I remember going home that night. And first thing my mother always did when I was around that age was check my eyes to see if they were bloodshot. And I'm sure everyone knows why.
Yep.
It's legal now. But anyway, Visine to the rescue. And weed did not smell like it does now.
No.
But anyway, I come in and I, sitting there and I said, so I know what I'm going to do. I know what I'm going to be. She's like, oh. Now I just come back from rock concert. So I'm sure her Jewish mother mind is going, what the fuck is he going to tell me? And I said, I'm going to be a roadie. She said, you're going to be a what? What's a roadie do? I said, I think it's someone that helps bands. Because, I'm no good at playing. And she looks at me and she's like, do you need to go to school for that? I said, I don't know, but that's what I'm going to do. And I just rolled into it. Another boarding school I went to, they did these concerts down the road. Again, speaking my age, I'd be surprised if anyone remembers this place. There's a place called Music Inn in Lenox, Massachusetts. I went to school in Stockbridge, same school that Arlo Guthrie went to. So very hippie school.
Right.
Anyway, meet this guy. We're buds. We hang out for the year. And he says, hey, do you want to go live at Music Inn with me for the summer? I'm like, what the fuck is Music Inn? He said, well, they do concerts. So they'll let us live in this space for free. And we'll get paid to do, some work during the week. Well, drywall, whatever, whatever it is, actually, right? Driving, we got to drive this old truck around, and it was a blast. I don't even think I was 15. I was 14 going on 15. And that was my choice that year of not going to the summer camp that I'd went to probably since I was 6. So there you go. I'm in a new camp now. And so the first job for the concerts was like directing traffic to park cars. So I think I did that for 2 shows, but I had aspirations. And I really got the aspirations when Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band almost ran me over. True story. So there's a back road to where the stage is in this place, which is sort of behind the property, natural amphitheater, beautiful place. And I'm standing in the road. And like I said, my job as a car came up was to push him into a parking space, right? And it's a dusty road, and it's summer, it's hot out. Anyway, these 2 vans come screaming up the road, and I see, big black man driving one. And I didn't really know Springsteen at that point. So Clarence Clemens was driving one, Springsteen in the seat next to him, and a full van behind him. And they're like, waving, get out of the way. So I did get out of the way, and they just screamed past me. When I went back, so I finished the summer. I got brought down to the stage to be a gopher. Now a runner. Got paid $35 a day. Fuck, I'd have paid them. And no driver's license. Driving the promoter's car around that I could never get in reverse or first gear. But it was a fantastic summer. And we lived, me and this guy, Jimmy, lived in the empty clock tower in a barn. So this property used to be a working farm in the 20s. And then at some point, Tanglewood is right up the street. Tanglewood, for all that you don't know, the home of the Boston Symphony, the summer home, and they, and jazz greats. And Berkshire's, which is Western Massachusetts, very, very big cultural area. Anyway, so Music Inn was the rock and roll answer to Tanglewood. And So that's really where I got my start. And
Nice.
I got home after finishing that summer. They made me now I had a taste of the stage, and I knew sound and light guys. They gave me T-shirts.
Oh, geez.
This, I mean, now I'm reaching back because I just remembered this T-shirt, and we don't do stuff like this anymore because most of us have daughters, and
Yeah.
certainly we're slightly more politically correct, at least on
Certain
we have to be. It's just different age. This
Yeah.
sound company called Brighton Sound, which was
I
from
remember them.
Rochester, New York. Remember
Yep.
them?
Yep. I remember them well.
They had this T-shirt, and it was one of the old school T-shirts with like a lot of activity. Like it wasn't a decal, but it was whatever. It wasn't silkscreen. It was like that rubber shit.
Okay.
And
yeah.
on the front of the T-shirt was an obviously roadie with, wallet chain hanging down, carrying a cable, wearing some fucked up cowboy hat.
Oh,
And I don't know, he looked, to us, you would say, oh, he's a roadie. Anyway, with, a very luscious, near naked woman on her knees. And on the back of the shirt said, Brighton Sound has balls. Oh my God. I looked for this shirt on eBay and Facebook, thinking somebody's got to have one of these, but to no avail.
See, hopefully now that you say that, it'll pop up.
Maybe.
If
So
it
I
does,
went.
I'll
I
let
had
you
to
know.
manifest it. So I went home to go back to, I don't know. That must have been my sophomore year of high school. And I mean, I had seen it all. I'd been with roadies. I was 14 going on 15, and because I got started school early, so I was always, my birthday's in December.
Right.
I mean, I was out there for the summer. I lived in this cool clock tower. I had girls that were, I don't know, 4 or 5 years older than me. I could drink cocaine.
It's funny. I was looking at your sheet that I send all the guests, to fill out, just so I get some information. So, and you and I had the same answer. What got you into this business? Girls. That plain and simple.
It was glorious. It was hard going back to high school, starting a new high school. And we, I remember going back and shortly after the school year started, Time and Newsweek came out, and that was both covers of Springsteen.
Okay.
So I felt like I knew him because they'd almost run me over, and he waved at me, right?
Right.
So I was like, hey, I know them. I don't know. I'm sure I embellished whatever story I knew, but I was well on my way. High school did not last much longer. I stayed kind of doing security and working for this promoter. Rest in peace, David Gessner. Great guy.
I remember that name.
You remember Water Rat Productions?
I think so, yeah, because Dave Rat was talking about him one day.
Wow. He was a big time promoter, Boston area. I mean, before Don Law, of course, before the companies, but
right.
Anyway, and he just passed not too long ago. His brother-in-law is George Travis, who has been with Springsteen for 100 years.
Okay.
So I don't know. We're all really connected anyway. And I worked security. I mean, I don't think anyone had any idea how old I was. Because I guess at that point, maybe by then I turned 15. And then I went back to that same Music Inn the next summer doing security and also doing some other illicit activities. I sold the band cocaine, which I'm very proud of. And I was, basically doing security. And most of the time I was by the stage as a gopher. And so one of the guys I was working with said, hey, do you know how to set drums up? I was still in high school. I'm like, thinking to myself, no. Yeah, I know how to set them up. I've done that before.
I lied to get my first gig.
So yes, I am 15, going on 16. By that time, I think I had already been thrown out of the public high school. Thank you, Brookline High School. And I had moved into a school that was in the evening that was for, I don't know, uh, not challenged intellectually, but challenged because, there were like, 16-year-old mothers in there, and people like me who cut a bunch of school weren't really interested. So anyway, that was, and the school was actually pretty good. But eventually I stopped doing that because I either was leaving a class early to go work security in Cambridge, or I was, on the road with this band. And that was the start. The first band was the Bailey Brothers band out of Amherst area. Still know the drummer, actually. I'll have to send him this. Skip Fisher.
Nice. Well, what we'll do, so I have sets of questions and there's a lot for each section. And I normally do this like touring and roadie stories. And then we'll, you and I and we had a very long talk about the mental health in our industry, and that's something that's important to me. And I know for a fact it's important to you. So
it's at my forefront.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what this is all about. It's about telling some good stories, and it's about addressing the issues that a lot of people are going through. And right now, you and I both, and I've talked to him about it. He's fine with me mentioning it. We have a dear friend going through some stuff right now. And, I started a GoFundMe for him with the help of a friend of mine, Sandy Espinoza. We got that up and running. He's, just hit a hard time, and he's in the hospital. And, it's the reality is what we do for a living is awesome. As we've gotten older, it's not, but shit takes its toll. It takes its toll on us mentally, and physically. I'm not as old as most guys, but I'm old enough in this industry where next year is my 40th year, and my body's just starting to tell me to bugger off. You know what I mean? So,
I got 10 on you.
I know, and a lot of people do, and it's what we do. I mean, I still to this day love what I do and hate what I do. It is the biggest love-hate relationship on the planet for me. It's given me so many great things, but it's also taken so many good things away from me. And again, not blaming anybody, it's my choice. Like you, I got started young. I got started in high school, and it's the lure, it's the money, it's the travel, it's the girls, it's the extracurriculars, it's all of that stuff. And it was amazing back then, and it was fun, and I was with my best friend and my best friends on tour. So you kind of get lost in the shuffle, and and then years later you open your eyes and go, holy shit, what else do I know how to do? It's plain and simple for me. And what do I know how to do? I know how to talk. And this is a platform that I can use. And if I can help somebody, and then you and I spoke about this on the phone, if we can help me, if I can help one person, I'm okay.
Yeah, well, that's you gotta start small. I mean, I agree. I've been an advocate, involved in mental health for a few years now. It's starting to, in general, it's starting to take more importance. There's a couple of guys that I was involved with. They were running a group, and I've had them on some panels. I used to run some mental health panels at Live Production Summit, which, I'll comment that after. These guys, Zach and Chaim, did this thing called the White Paper. Anyway, they're out on tour now with staff on a couple of tours, because it's very expensive to carry people. The problem, but they're like on tour in a room, so people can, and it's usually the room is set far away from everyone else, and it's kept very private. But there's therapists on the road now. I mean, even most successful tours, even if they could afford it, would never spend the money to do that. I mean, you really have to be forward thinking to do it. So they work with Marty Halm now, one of the industry greats and a good friend, on some of his tours. And he is at the top, so he has budget maybe to do it, and the influence to say it's important. But we in general, later day roadies. So I don't know. What do we say? 50 plus, at least 50 plus. Okay.
Yeah.
We came up a different way. I mean, first of all, there were no women. I don't remember any. In my early days, there was not. There
Same.
were maybe first women were truck drivers that you'd see, but most were in administrative roles. Production coordinators started. Not that there were even production coordinators. I mean, things were different. But anyway, we came up, and there was a lot of hardness. I mean, for me, being so young, pretending I was older, and it was a mental health fucking circus for me because I never felt like I knew what I was doing, even though I did somehow. And, I couldn't get out of my own way because being starting out as the youngest one and having to bullshit my way through a day, which I probably never needed to do. I know that now. Because, some of this, most of our job is common sense. You pick up technical aspects and, some people are proficient in it, but it's just like anything else. If someone's going to have a talent to be, let's go blue collar, because we're kind of blue collar, right?
Yeah.
Someone's going to have a talent to be a mechanic, and they're going to naturally, from however their mind works, they're going to be good at that because they're going to be able to understand and they have a feel for it, maybe even a passion. But anyway, so being young and bullshitting my way through, and hoping, fuck, I hope they don't find out.
Yeah.
What? And then I started being given the keys to the city, and I still didn't even take much stock in myself that I had earned that position. No one gave me a job because of what I talked about. I mean, a little bit, of course, but and I struggled with that fucking till now.
Yeah.
And but the thing is, there was never anyone to talk about it. You wouldn't even talk to your friends about it. Everything was tough it out, and it's travel and touring on 90% of the levels now, even at a club level, is 100% better, well, different than it was. I mean,
Yeah.
catering was crap. I mean, like KFC.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone
McDonald's,
remember
Burger King.
Anyone remember the famous Al Heyman Budweiser tours?
No.
So Al Heyman was very, he was like, I don't know, P.T. Barnum of R&B. That's, black acts that toured at that point.
Right.
So he did these things called the Budweiser tours, which was sponsored, of course, by Budweiser. So pretty much what you got was Kentucky Fried Chicken and Budweiser, and that was about it. And I mean, we were cowboys. We were figuring it out. I mean,
Yeah.
Someone said, "Well, how do you do it?" I said, "Well, I don't know. How did fucking cowboys do it? They were on the trail for, I mean, at least we had a bus to be in, right? But
Yeah.
they couldn't go anywhere, and if they did something really stupid, they'd probably get left there or shot." So
Exactly.
anyway, we kind of, I think we all modeled ourselves like that, and we just kept going on. But shows weren't so complicated. Right.
No.
I mean, a big arena show was, if you had 4 trucks in an arena, that was a big show.
Oh yeah.
That was a big show.
That was they're not close to what they are now. I mean, it's like, we talked about him a moment ago, a common friend that, and I asked him, he's fine that I talk about it. Glenn Kaufman. Glenn, you've known Glenn over 40 years. I've known Glenn over 30 years. And Glenn and I did Night Ranger together. We had known each other forever. I was on One Oz Fest while he was with, what's that band? With Sully Erna. What's that band? Yeah, that band.
Boston band.
Godsmack.
Godsmack.
So he was Godsmack's production manager.
My favorite band.
I was tour manager on the other stage for another band, and Glenn was, we that's the only time we really toured together. And then T-Boy, Todd Confessori, God rest his soul,
Yep.
called both of us and said, "Hey, I need pro help for Night Ranger." So we went and did Night Ranger together. And it's funny how you talk about we grew up different. Like Glenn and I's theory is simple. It's not my job, or it's not in my job description, doesn't come out of our mouths. It really doesn't. I don't like that. I can't stand when guys do that. You could put out a towel, you could put out water, you could put out set list. Stop it. Just that whole the old school mentality, just you do it all and get it done and make the show happen.
Oh, if I ever said that around the people I came up with, I would not be sitting here right now.
I would have been
fact, for me, I looked for other stuff to do.
Yeah.
Right. I did one of my tours. I did. I'm a Boston kid, at least, from teens into adult. So it was my dream to work for Jay Giles' band and then later Giles. And I missed one opportunity. But then I got the drum roadie gig. And God, why did I start talking about this? Completely lost my...
We were talking about like that's not my job description.
Oh, right. Anyway, so the other band roadies on that, and by the way, fuck this tech shit. We're all roadies.
Thank you very much.
I want to just say that. You may be a technician and you may do technical things and you may have technical proficiency, intelligence, and knowledge, but you are a fucking roadie.
Yep.
Anyway, the other roadies on this, a husband and wife team, I ain't mentioned any names because they're great people. So it was the three of us, and there was a fair amount of gear, and there was no stage manager. The production manager was another past friend, Mo Morrison, rest in peace, a true mentor to me. Anyway, I said, "Well, I'll be the stage manager," and he's like, "Okay," and
sure.
I wanted to learn, and I don't. Anyone that knows me will know I've tried to be in charge since I was about 2.
Yep.
So it was natural for me to take it over, and I loaded the trucks, and I was in the truck, and like the other roadies are, "Why are you doing so much work?" I'm like, what the fuck else am I going to do? Sit around?
Yeah.
Like I started loading other trucks. I did that on another tour. And one of those guys was with me, and he said, why do you do this extra work? I'm like, well, because I want to learn and I want to help. So, anyway, that's the old school way. If you ever said that's not my job description,
you would
be you would be drummed out.
Back in the 80s when I was just, and just to the terminology so people understand it, when you're a backline guy, you're normally taking care of, like I took care of for Trickster, let's just say the bass player and the keyboard player. So my job was fairly easy. I get bored. So what I do, I'll go in the truck and rearrange the attic and clean stuff up and do inventory of what we need. Just because I needed something to do. I wasn't one of those guys who could stand around all day and just be like, no. Now, oy vey, forget about it. That's all you see. All right. So let me ask you this. So in your career, what has been your best gig? Like your favorite that you enjoyed every day?
Oh, hands down, David Bowie, Serious Moonlight.
Oh, that's a good one.
I was Tony Thompson's drum roadie. It was all stadiums, some arenas, all stadiums.
Nice.
I learned from the best. Eric Barrett was the production manager who was he's still around and taught me a lot and taught me a lot what not to do and how not to say it through a couple of scoldings. But I'm eternally grateful to him. Anyway, and the stage manager was a guy named Morris Lyda. So both of these guys are like famous in our industry.
Right.
And it was great. But even on that tour, I looked for stuff to do. Like I'd load the backline truck, and then I'd load the sound truck, and then I'd load another sound truck. And again, some of that same Giles crew were like, why the fuck are you doing all this? Like, yeah. I'm like, why are you not?
Nowadays, part of me still wants to do it.
That was the best tour.
Part of nowadays, part of me still wants to do it, but my body just says you can't. You can't.
Yeah,
One
I'm
wrong
not
move.
I'm not too physical on tours. I still like to push some boxes,
Oh yeah,
and I still, but
push
you
my
know,
boxes.
it is truly when it's truly not your job, and that's the other thing about growing up, that when you become a production manager or a festival director or you know any of the admin jobs, you know, you work all day. You're always have something you're processing. You're always dealing with something. Even after the show, you're either making more phone calls or making arrangements. So at that point, it ain't your job to do it. Now, a lot of production managers still do it because they want to feel, because that's what they do and that's what they always did. But you know, my point is, it's okay to do your job. It's not okay to turn your back on someone needing help
No, never.
or something like I look at it like this. If I'm running a tour and I see anybody, I mean, even whatever, stagehand, doesn't matter, struggling with the case, I get in there and push. Now,
Yep.
if I was walking down the hall one day, maybe I was on the phone and I saw this scenario happening, and maybe there were 3 guys on the case that there should have been 4 or whatever, something like that. And maybe I didn't stop to help them, or I just was watching this unfold. And one of the other tour members, you know, could be lighting, sound, whatever, you know, walked past them and didn't help them, they would have a stern talking to.
Oh yeah, I've done it as a PM. I've done
I
it.
would say, look, maybe you didn't notice, you know. I mean, I wasn't always kind though, so I'll completely admit that.
Yeah, I've had those talks too. For me, you and I have a common friend. God, you know, another one. I hate to say these phrases, but rest his soul, Robin Irvine. He, you know, he was my mentor, and we did, you know, back in the day, Cyndi Lauper, and he taught me so much. But boy, when I fucked up, woo!
Yeah, I knew him. I tried to get a Cyndi gig early on, and we spent kind of a wild weekend together with Glenn's brother. I don't really know what we were doing, but we were traveling around somewhere. So it was Glenn's brother Alan, who was actually my first mentor, got me my first job.
Alan.
And then I took hold of Glenn. So Glenn was mine. Alan gave me Glenn and said, teach him. I mean, I barely knew what I was doing, so whatever. But it was Alan, me, and we were in New York, and then went to upstate New York for something. Tom Johnston, the guitar player in the Doobie Brothers, and Robin Irvine. And I think at that point, the Doobies, they were not really working. And, you know, everybody has their, you know, whatever. I don't, when they're his laundry, I don't really remember why we were there. We were doing something. Anyway, we spent this wild weekend together, and we probably didn't sleep very much, as you don't. And at the end of the weekend, and I had, you know, asked Robin in the beginning, because Alan said, hey, they're looking for someone for Cyndi. Now, I was very green anyway. And at the end of the weekend, Robin turned to me very politely, said, nah, you're just not right for this. Like, you're just not. And then, so the story is, I heard that, but I didn't believe it. And I thought, well, he just doesn't know. Again, I didn't know anything. I don't even, I'm sure it was the production manager job. And what had I done? Maybe I'd been in charge of a club crew, or, you know, whatever. I had no bona fide theater or arena experience. I don't know what she was doing those days, but so about a week later, I called him, and oh my God, did he get pissed? Yes. He's like, I fucking told you were not right for this. Why are you calling me and asking me about this? I said, he said, I don't know. He said, if you want to call me to talk to me, then you just call me, but don't ask me for this job again. So it was a, you know, stuff like that is a lesson.
Yeah.
You know? I don't think I paid much attention to it, sadly.
Yeah, he used to yell at me when I do stupid shit, and then Cyndi would laugh, and then he would yell at me so hardcore that I couldn't understand a lick of what he was saying, because his Irish accent would come full bore. And I just
Scottish,
be like,
right?
Irish, Scottish. I don't, whatever. I don't understand any.
For for Americans are the hardest thing. Once they get going.
We had a stage manager for Cindy. I fucking love this man, and I have not heard from him in years. I have no idea if he's still with us or not. But Jimmy Bolton, and
Jimmy's still around.
Is he? I miss that Scottish bastard, because when he got going, not a single soul can understand him. And we were doing a show in Scotland, and I asked one of the hands to do something. The hand looked at me weird. I'm like, Jimmy, can you ask him to do this, this, and this? Jimmy did something to and like 10 guys just scattered and did what I needed them to do. And I'm like, what the fuck did you just say? Because I didn't understand a goddamn word of it. And he's just like, haha. I'm like, okay, then fine. But all right. So let's talk a little bit about mental health here. So, you know, how, and you and I kind of talked about this, and you can talk about it, you know, as in depth as you want, or long or short. Medium's good. How is the touring lifestyle impacted your personal relationships?
Okay. Well,
because I think we all have the same answers to this.
I mean, I almost didn't have many. My personal relationships, for the most part, were with other roadies, even, or, you know, maybe some band members when, you know, I was coming up. But I had girlfriends in many cities. And, you know, as I, you know, I guess I started to get a little more, like I, you know, a serious relationship. I have had 2 wives. I had to remember, and maybe, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 4 serious live-in relationships that lasted for years.
That's not bad.
Yeah, now it's me and the dog.
I mean, it's hard in our industry to find a partner who can deal with what we do.
Yep.
And I have an ex-wife, and
well, it was also hard for me to not do what I did on the road. So,
right.
So when I came home, you know, it's an adjustment. Like, you know, you see these movies about people getting out of jail, and they do something to go back in because they don't know how to live in society. And my daughter's mother at one point said to me, she said, you know, you're either on the road, you're getting ready to go on the road, or you're recovering from being on the road. Where the fuck do I fit in?
Mm-hmm.
That, and I'm not your runner, were things that she said. So, yeah, I mean, it destroys, it can. Some people are successful at it. Something, you know, it's everybody's different. Everybody has different upbringing. Everybody came into this, you know, not every roadie's dysfunctional. I mean, I think they were. I used to say we're just a bunch of miscreants and dysfunctional people, because then we all drew together. So we all had that place, but it's havoc. Luckily, you know, my daughter and I have had a great relationship. It was hard at a couple of points when I wasn't around and gone a lot. But we have come through it. But yeah, man, it's work, because, you know, you don't just work, you know, I mean, back then, I think, I mean, before I was married, of course, I mean, there was a point I was on the road for 3 years. I don't think I ever came home for more than a couple of days.
Yeah, I've had a couple of those.
And even if you're gone 6 months, you know, it's also what you live with when you come home. So if you've been on the road whoring around, doing a bunch of whatever, living a hedonistic lifestyle, or, you know, a confrontational lifestyle, you know, that's a thing. You know, we all, humans carry a lot. And even before you became, you know, a roadie and started, you know, partying and work was a party and so on, which it's not now.
Right.
You know, we all carry stuff from when we were children.
Yeah.
You may not know it, and some people have reckoned with it. Some people haven't, and you're not. If you're carrying any shit to begin with, many of us went on the road, so we didn't have to think about that stuff.
Bingo. Same here. And I learned that, and I won't get too far because I've done it in other podcasts, but the pandemic just brought everything back to the surface for me, from for losing friends to everything. And I got a great therapist, and she said exactly what you just said. When I went on the road, I was running away. So I didn't have to deal with anything. So I didn't have to deal with bullshit or, abuse or whatever, whatever it was. And you're right. You're 100% right. So I agree.
Yeah. And, then the even being on the road, you're maybe there are musicians listening to this, and maybe there aren't, but it doesn't really matter. Whatever's leading up to the show, whatever you do, if you're in the band, you've been practicing for a couple hours, whatever you've been writing, whatever you do. I imagine that's a difficult time for a band member to be around all day. And you get on stage, and we all kind of get on stage because it's house lights and shows start, and we're all, ready to pounce for the most part. We worked all day to put this thing in, and now we're getting our reward. There's the show. Oh, this is great. The audience, woo, going great. Now, we feel that same way. And that's part of the rush, and that's part of the attraction. And that's
100%. I love watching the person enjoy themselves.
That's totally fine. And we'll get into that versus being a job, maybe today, maybe another time.
Oh, no, we're doing a second.
But
we're
the
doing
thing is, when the show's over and the lights come back on, now, as roadies, we have another show to do. We have the loadout to do.
Yep. And
we talk about so many fallen people, but another mentor of mine, Benny Collins.
Oh, Benny.
You know what Benny taught me? Benny said, I'm not going to imitate the voice, but basically I could, but I won't. He said, as soon as you get in, you better start thinking of how you're going to get out.
Get out.
Right now.
Yep.
And I never forgot that.
Me neither. Someone said that to me, and I can't remember who, but it's right. You're loading in, but you're planning your loadout.
So that's our show.
Yep.
So the band's off stage, they're hanging out, they're dipping into whatever they're dipping into to continue feeling that rush that they felt on stage, right? It can, and I'm not saying I feel bad for anybody, but that's the part of the road. And I'll just, because I'm started talking about band members, that's the lonely part of being on the road.
Yep.
Because when your job is done and the house lights go back up, whether it's you're done loading the trucks and you're on the bus to the next city, which is another pitfall, or can be, or you're one of the band members and you're partying, and all we're trying to do is continue that rush. So somewhere along the way, and I'll bring it up now, somewhere along the way, this stopped being a job. It was always a job. It was a cool job. It's still a cool job. But I really never even thought of it as a job. It wasn't, the important thing to me was, I don't know, just the feelings, the party. And and there was no one around to train you. And, I carried in a lot of confrontation and whatever, a lot of not knowing and, trying to bullshit my way through it. So I was hard to get along with. But, after the show and after the truck's loaded, when everything's quiet, that's when a lot of people drink. We used to pretty much stay up all night, pulling in the loading and go, oh, fuck, we're here already?
Dude, I lost track of how many load-ins I did hammered. Just being honest.
Yeah, I mean, me too. And then, when it's rinse and repeat. And then try to mix that shit with going home. I mean, I didn't have children till I was 40. So it was a long time on the road before I had a kid. But I definitely went through many girlfriends, wife. For the longest time, like I said, I didn't even really have a girlfriend.
Right.
I was never home, so I never really had a home girlfriend.
Yeah.
And
I think go ahead.
No,
ahead. I was going to say,
I don't even want to embarrass myself. Go ahead.
Going back to what you're saying is like at one point in time, it switched to a job. And for me, I actually remember when that happened. And that was when my son was born in 97. That's when I went, this is a job. I still have the rush every night when the house lights go out. When I hear over the radio, house lights go, I still love watching, the younger generation of audience members love, and it's a spectacle of watching the show. I love watching the people who bust their ass 40 hours a week, barely making ends meet to spend the money on a ticket, spend the money on parking, babysitters, probably maybe a dinner in the city, whatever. And then they get there and all of that stress inside of that room is gone for them. And they are just enjoying themselves. That to this day, I still get goosebumps right now. I'm getting them right now. Just going, you know what? That is the coolest part of what we do because we gave them some happiness. Yeah, the band played, but if we didn't set it up, then they wouldn't have that.
That's why, if you're on a tour that's sadly selling garbage, and what was the saying? All right, I'm going to say this. The only one that I've ever heard this before is Glenn Kaufman.
Oh boy.
How many people are there, Bobby? And actually it was Glenn's brother who coined this phrase, and he'd say there's 4 midgets. 4 midgets sucking ice cubes in 4/4 time, which is ridiculous. But the point is that even when you do a show and it's not sold very well and it's got fewer people, the energy is different. And I'm only making the connection that even we feel that, right? So, and listen, it's got to have its place. There's got to be shows where not everybody's coming, and you got to work your way up. And I'm just saying that I agree with you. We are part of that. We're bringing people joy. I don't know. I mean, I know it's a job now, but somewhere in my makeup, like I never really had another job. Yeah. So, I think, and see, that's the difference these days. And if I'm going off track, you can reel me in. But college kids coming into this, right? That have whatever they've, now you can go to school for facets of this. Sadly, they can't teach you common sense or street smarts. Maybe you have those already.
They don't even teach you respect. Let me be clear.
Well, but maybe. I mean, it depends. I mean, people go to school to be a freaking auto mechanic. People go to school to be a doctor, so why not go to school to be a roadie? Why not,
I agree with that.
And honestly, you have to, if you are not a math major these days and you don't understand physics, you cannot even work for a sound company.
No.
I mean, maybe you could drive their truck and sweep their floor.
Possibly get their coffee. But I've run into, as a PM, I get, when I do PM tours, I get guys recommended to me and their resume isn't long, but they come recommended to me through a friend. And okay, I'll give them a chance. We're in rehearsal. So listen, it's not hard to swap them out if I need to. And so far it's been good, but there's been 2 guys, and I'm not going to mention names, but they came straight out of one of them damn schools. And the audacity out of their mouths to demand what their salary should be. I went, whoa, no, I don't care what they taught you. You ain't an A1. You're not an L1. I don't want to hear it. You don't deserve that. You don't deserve to make more than the lighting director. That's not how this works. And the cocky attitude from some of them. It's just like, I watched a PM who shall remain nameless, who I love to pieces, just put this kid in his place. And that kid, he smartened up and now he's doing great. And it's just, people don't understand. You just, like you and I, we started in this business doing exactly what you said, working with locals, helping friends, getting the gigs, yada, yada. Nowadays, everything's like, well, I need a resume. Shut up. But if I don't know you, and if you don't come recommended to me from Bobby Schneider, I'm not going to hire you because I trust Bobby. I don't know you. Bobby's not going to give me somebody, or Glenn Kaufman's not going to give me somebody, or somebody's not going to give me somebody, because if that person screws up, it's on them. Like, I don't recommend anybody for a guitar tech gig, and I'm a badass guitar tech, and I love saying that because I'm a guitar roadie, but yes, I can technically fix shit. But I don't recommend anybody to cover for me that I don't know or I haven't toured with or I don't know personally, because he screws up, it is 100% on me.
Oh, yeah, that's always it.
And that's the tough part about our industry. It's like, I don't know, a lot of the old guys, and again, we brought it up before, we're losing friends. And so some of my friends that I've lost, I can't recommend, and it sucks. But anyway.
You know what? This story you were just talking about with, the guy, the kid got put in his place. Good. Not everybody, not all of them start out like that, but
no, there's been some great ones.
That's the new wave. That's that's who you got to pick up and start to train and start to be. This generation is not going to learn from being razzed and being yelled at, and they won't be telling a story in 20 years about how when I came up, like so and so yelled at me, but I got my shit together. I mean, it just happens sort of a little quieter. Like I said, most of us, to me, that I recall, came into this. I mean, some had gone to college, right? I mean, and that's an advantage, because it's critical thinking more than what you learn, and it's socialization. But I didn't even finish high school, and that was not uncommon. And like I said, I never really had another job to learn, those kinds of responsibilities. So when I started on the road, it was like, wow, I mean, I got paid for it, right? And I mean, I knew technically it was a job. And if I didn't have one, I wanted to get another job. But I think, besides, living and needing money to live, it was also, oh my God, I'm not touring. What am I going to do? Like, so it's if you think about it, it's two really polar opposites that, you're out here doing this thing and you don't really consider it a job because you're not working 9 to 5 and you're not home on weekends. That's fine for many people, right?
Yeah.
It wouldn't be for me, I don't think, but I guess if I grew up doing it, but you don't even, if you just become a roadie and you don't finish high school and you just fall into it because your brother did it, or maybe it's in your family, you're going to come into it a lot differently than if you went to, and there's numerous schools now. There are some good stuff going on in schools. Like,
no, I agree.
Kevin Lyman teaches a class at, it's not USC, it's not UCLA. I don't know, one of the UC schools. Sorry, I can't remember. And I've done some classes. But I can't teach because I don't have any kind of college degree.
Right.
I mean, they don't really care what kind of college degree you have.
You got to have something.
You got to have something in order to teach. And I've often thought about teaching. So, yeah, man, it's a balance. And I think somewhere in there that if you try to berate someone that's already cocky, it's a really bad cocktail.
Yeah.
But I think that if you actually try to show them some leadership, and you can tell them what's up, but you show them some leadership, and it's sort of like, you don't do that, but I'll show you what you do.
Right.
And, and I understand, you haven't done this. So this is something you want to do. Let me help you, kind of thing. You don't have to say those words, but that was never the goal. And, kids come in now, bands that get big instantly bring friends along.
Yep.
And
100%.
Remember, to us, it was, friend of the band. Oh God. But, they want, and younger bands want their friends with them.
Yeah. They want that feeling of family.
And, and they don't want, a 60-year-old dude that's, maybe if they're entertained by his stories or her stories, something, but it's not gonna, the value in that is not seen, and they hire friends.
Right.
And in some cases, they hire friends, and then the tour has to hire someone to sort of lead the friend the right way.
Yep.
So
I've been one of those guys.
yeah,
I mean, the one thing I've done, especially since the pandemic, it's become more prevalent. Coming out of the pandemic, I was on one of the first tours out with the Goo Goo Dolls, and I was stage manager. And I'd always have a load in, a load out meeting. And I do this as PM too, ever since then, more so now than I did before. But the one thing I always say in the meeting is that we're here to help you and teach you if you don't know what you're doing, but you have to ask. If we see something being done wrong, we'll teach you. Please take the advice. And that has been very receptive by a lot of people, especially local hands. Because coming out of the pandemic, we were doing this. We were doing this one show out of the pandemic, what was it? The Walmart Amphitheater, somewhere in Arkansas. It's like a 5,000-6,000 seater. And my normal in and out call was 35 people, right? 3 trucks, 35 people. That, it worked out great. The rigs, everything went up fast. Everything was good. It was a great day. So we're doing this show at the Walmart Amphitheater in Arkansas, and there's such nice people there. I love, it's one of my favorite mid-sized places to play. And I do the load-in meeting, and I ask everybody, because we was coming out of the pandemic, so I didn't know what I was getting. So I say, listen, don't be embarrassed. If you've never done this before, raise your hand, because we're here to help you. So tell me that you don't know what you're doing so we can guide you. And dude, I swear to God, out of 35 people, 33 raised their hand.
Wow.
And it turns out, and the promoter didn't tell us this, which I wasn't mad about, but kind of give me a heads up. They had to get hands in from Manpower and Labor Ready. So there were guys.
Yeah, it used to be in my rider to not allow that.
Yeah, I put it back in my production rider. But and like
better
there was
than
one
no
guy.
one, though.
What's that?
Better than no one.
Exactly. And there was one guy. It's like, where I take that case over there. You're going to give it to that person right there, because we color coded all the cases per department, which we kind of went into the tour knowing that we were going to have issues. So we wanted to try and make it simple. So green went to lighting, pink went to backline, So I'm like, open that case. It was the motors. Open that case, and then they'll come over and get the motors. He's like, how do I open the case? I said, see those? And I went, okay, let me. I automatically almost went back to old school Jersey, and I went, all right, here's how you open the case. And I showed him how to turn the light. And he was just like the nicest guy the whole day. He came wanting to learn. And that I thought was the coolest thing. So I'm like, at least.
Yep. And that's and that's where, we need to be at. I'm on a, I'm on a fairly regular contributor to a Facebook blog called This Tour Life. It's run, Ryan. What's Ryan's last name?
Ryan Smith.
Right. I don't think it's Smith.
No, not Ryan from Shore.
No.
I know who you're talking about. I haven't joined the group yet because you were supposed to send me an invite.
Oh, well, I guess I'll have to do that one, right? Anyway, I'm a fairly constant contributor to it, and that's really what we talk about. But of course, it's Facebook, so
yeah,
you get a lot of people saying toughen up, or you don't. This is not how it's done. If you don't, Ryan Phillip George.
Okay.
And basically toughen up. And why are people just if you don't want to do it, don't do it. This is the deal. These are the hours. My feeling is that I don't know financially that all tours are going to start never doing 5 in a rows, that there aren't going to be 12 people, some tours even more on a bus when you've got no money or in one of the bandwagons, and whatever level your band you're working at, sometimes you eat Subway twice a day, and sometimes you get catering. And I think that has to be accepted, because I don't think all of us are going to be in a union. And there would be rules and mandates, and we got overtime, and that'd be fabulous.
Right.
The IA tried to do that
Yep,
a
I
few
remember.
years, and I was involved in that. And I said, listen, and that was really about health insurance. That was, but of course, they, the representative that I was dealing with, promised health insurance, but I said, well, like, it never worked out. It never got far.
Right.
It wasn't the worst idea because there are no protocols to how we get treated. So I don't know if it's any better now than it used to be. I mean, I haven't done tours where, I'm fortunate, so I haven't done tours where, I do more than 2, maybe 3 in a row. This summer I did 3 in a row on a festival, a touring festival. And I got to tell you, those were brutal. Like in the beginning we were loading in at 6:30. So I mean, basically, as soon as the bus got there, and I think most people could handle that 2 shows in a row.
Yeah.
And then but 3, that's ball breaker, but even 5. So I don't know how much that's going to change. Now, of course, everybody can look at the schedule before they say they're going to take the tour and say, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
Maybe they won't work. Maybe they'll end up doing something else. Maybe they'll be lucky enough to find a tour.
See, I'm the opposite end of that. I'll take 5 in a row. Like that's one of the reasons why I love doing TSO every year.
You guys are fucking nuts.
Slightly insane. Well, backlight
Crazy.
load-ins are like 6:30 in the morning, but it's
You
5
guys
in a row.
load in at 3 in the morning.
No, I think we started at like 4.
Oh, whatever.
But
and
it's
then
like,
you do 2. Then you do 2 shows.
2 shows, 5 days in a row. Every day. I honestly.
I know a bunch of people on that.
Jimmy
Pett's a good friend.
Jimmy Pettinato is the sweetest man. I love that guy. He is just the sweetest man. I was actually
buying Pop-Tarts and he will be happy.
Which flavor? I'm going to mess with him this year.
If I remember right, it's a strawberry frosting.
Okay. All right. I'll get him strawberry frosting.
He never used to toast them.
Now, I don't either. I don't know.
Eat Pop-Tarts.
It's weird. But anyway, so let's kind of go through a couple more questions here because we're coming up on time, but we're fine. So looking back as a PM or any gig, and let's take the Bowie part out of it, but looking back, actually, no, because you already answered that and you can't really top Bowie. So let's do this one. What's the one city or venue that left the biggest impression on you and why?
Has to be Madison Square Garden.
See, that's everybody's answer, especially us East Coasters.
This is like something I never forgot. So in one of my many hats, I worked for C Factor back in the day. Rest in peace, Bob C.
Yeah.
Who also taught me a lot. What an asshole he could be, though. Oh my God. But smart man, very smart man. Anyway, I'm working for C Factor. I'm on Rush, 1983. Wow. I've never been in Madison Square Garden to do a show. I was fucking nervous. And I grew up in New York, but still, now I was like, oh shit.
And that's back when the union guys were really assholes. And I loved them. I loved them, but now they're like pussycats.
Well, it's a different world now. You still get some of the old guys.
Oh yeah.
But they were, yeah. And honestly, so I had the shittiest job. We had this huge, for those days, lighting rig. And, things weren't built modularly like they are now. And it was a sort of trapezoid shape, and it had 3 rings in it. And the concept was from the Superman movie, the beams of light, right? For 3, right. It was for Rush. So anyway, my job was all the Lecos inside all these places because there were gobos for days. Those of you who don't know, gobos is slide, metal or glass. And no one here probably even seen these lights. They used to go in Lecos. Lecos had a barrel with a lens in it, and then it had a part that housed the bulb. So all these things traveled in these big racks, all hanging. And because the trucks were different, right? I mean, even though they're air ride, they're not. These things would be all over the bottom of the rack. And no one on that crew, the 6 of us, no one gave a shit about what anybody else had to do. There was almost no direction. And I was new. I'd never been a lighting guy on tour. I was just getting used to it. So my job was also these perimeter lights on the outside. But the story is that I got trapped somewhere in the stage, which people did to you just because they didn't care, with this big meat rack full of Lecos that were all, half of them were busted. And I'm trying to move the case around to get to where I need to. And they're all busted and frustrated. The guy with me, I said, "Excuse me, sir, can you help me move this case?" And he looked at me, and I don't know, I just maybe remember him chewing a cigar. God, I wish I remembered his name. And he looked at me and said, "Nope." And I don't know, maybe I'm 20. I'm like, what do you mean, no? He said, "Son, I've moved that box 3 times. I'm not touching it again till you go fucking figure out what you need." He said, "Then you come back and find me and I will get it done." So I didn't cry. I probably wanted to. And anyway, I got my shit together. I figured out what to do. I went back and got them, which was a whole other tale because they're all sitting there smoking and, and here comes this kid coming to get him. But he got up and brought someone else with him. They helped me, and I never forgot about not moving things twice. And you know what? I saw him for years after that. Whatever your name was, man, thank you.
Local
it's all
One.
about lessons,
I love Local One, man. I ain't gonna lie.
So that was that experience for me will never be beat.
Right on. So let's kind of wrap up the mental health aspect, because I think we've touched on it enough, and then we're definitely doing an episode 2 of this because there's so much more you and I could talk about because of our passion for working with other people and the mental health aspect. But what have you seen in our industry be the biggest problem for a lot of touring personnel with mental health and a possible resolve? Because I mean, I know there's a lot of great organizations starting to make it more accessible to get help, but what have you seen as the biggest problem from the crew people?
Well, let's see. My practical experience, even though I'm an advocate for mental health and I've spoken about it, I never really saw much movement on it. Not from other production managers. I came up with this idea to try to do a group of us, coalition, call it.
Right.
Where everybody would be on the same page. We get on a Zoom once a month, talk, support each other. I'm having a guy break down. And what are you doing? You practice anything different? That never happened. And the tours I've been on recently, I don't, it never really came up. So, and I didn't really see any action on it. But I do know this, that more recently, and I don't know that this is it's kind of mental health. I did a tour and I spoke to the sound company and I said, "You're going to get me some seasoned guys." And there's this like silence. He said, "Yeah, these guys have been, they're trained. They've gone to school." And I'm like, "They've done what? Have they loaded a truck before?" And he said, "I don't know, but they know their shit." So, I labeled these guys the 3 amigos. I talked to them, and they came through it because I tried to direct them like you were talking. I know that there are a lot of outlets for mental health. I haven't, in my world, seen anybody take part in it. No one's come to me and said, "Hey, can I talk to you?" Or "I've got something going on." And I don't believe that I've approached anybody in saying, "Hey, if you're, do you want to talk to someone? You're having a bad day?" It's been occasional,
right?
If anything, because I think I think if I saw someone spinning out, I mean, I'm an advocate. I'm not trained. I mean, you gotta be very careful what you say to people.
100%. That's why I got to put a
spin
disclaimer on
someone
the
out.
show.
I've had a lot of, I've had experience with PTSD and, and I understand, but, I would lead somebody to something, and I have done that on occasion, but it's still not, it's still not at the forefront of people coming in and being open of having a problem.
I think a lot of roadies, old school guys especially, and I'm not going to lie, because I was one of them, I think the problem is we're too proud to say there's something wrong. And I mean, that's my experience, because I know I was. And then if it wasn't for two friends of mine, one of them is my brother, I wouldn't have gone for help. I wouldn't have had the amazing therapist that I've had since, the pandemic, but I was too proud. I was raised in an Italian Irish family, and you don't talk about it. You just don't.
I was raised Jewish. You talk about everything.
Yeah. See, opposite. The men don't talk about their feelings.
And everybody fucking knows everything.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, listen, I agree. I still, like, I'm now I'm kind of retired. Not really. Yeah. I don't know. I'm thinking about it. Retirement is in my near future. Let's put it that way.
Fair.
I have not enjoyed the tours I've done in the past few for one reason or another. Either difficult tour managers with me as a production manager, because they're smaller tours, so there's not as much separation. And sometimes tour managers have been production managers, so therefore the relationship is different.
Right.
So that bothered me. Some inexperience bothered me. Some lack of autonomy bothered me. And it was very difficult for me. And I'm sure that I was extremely difficult to get along with, at least with them,
right?
Because I lost complete respect for, and this is the last few tours, like in the last couple of years.
Right.
So where were we at about this?
Well, it's just bringing awareness. And I think, yeah.
No. I'm just saying, why did I start talking about this?
I have no clue. We do this. We're old.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll remember. Maybe it was about changes. Oh, no, I know what it's about. Excuse me. I'm sorry. You were out. It's truly about mental health. So I carried this with me. I mean, I'm, total transparency. I carry it with me now. Now I have different practices now.
Right.
So I never really drank unless I did drugs. So I don't do that anymore.
Right.
I live in the woods. I live solo. My life is very easy. I meditate. I teach meditation. I'm learning to teach yoga. I practice yoga. It's changed my life. And I would love to bring some of these practices into the tour. And there's one show I work on. I bring people in and we meditate before,
right.
At least on show day. So, yeah, it doesn't need to be buried bare, really. It really doesn't.
Right.
I think people need to know what to expect if they're going to be new. And there should be like a requirement. And who's got the time? Again, will companies do this? But let's say that you're going to hire for this season 3 new touring guys. And they've never been on the road, or they've just done like corporate shows, or whatever their experience isn't rather.
Right.
Why wouldn't you maybe bring somebody into your company to just do even a couple of days? Like they said, they could ask questions.
Yeah, I mean, that's a freaking great idea.
Where do I do my laundry?
Yeah.
I mean, no one teaches you that. And then, if you come out that green, you're, just like high school, no matter what we say, we are not a vision of mental health.
Nope.
Our environment.
Nope. We are a bunch of sarcastic people living the nomad lifestyle. But, and
so
I think
that's softened up for me now.
Right.
And whatever I can do to bring what I feel now and what I understand and what I went through to people coming up, and even maybe to people, you know, that aren't my age, but are still out there, you know, plugging it away. I believe there is an overall push towards this, and there's a lot of places to go.
Yeah.
So we should do another one.
Oh, 100%.
And, you know, we can get a couple of people on that, you know, I mean, the thing is, it's action though. Like, you know, we can talk about it all day. How will you know from who watches this? And you can introduce how maybe this could happen. Of anyone listening to this today, do you get comments back?
I do. I will get comments if people decide to comment. And it's really a lot of, so here's what I've learned. And I've learned this about our industry, not other ones, because I'm not targeting other ones. I'm targeting our industry for the simple fact is it's what I know, so I can talk about it. But sometimes people don't want to comment because they're afraid of, and I hate this word, but outing themselves of having a problem. But I get private comments going, hey, how would you handle this? Or, hey, how did you deal with what you talked about on that podcast, with that situation that you were in? And you get that, but you won't get it outright. And they also don't want to be known.
No, it can be, at that point, it should be anonymous. I listen,
100%.
Right here and now, I'm going to offer this.
Do it.
Anybody's going to take me up on it. Anybody that would like to talk to me, you do it through Daniel's site, however that happens.
I'll turn him straight on to you.
And he will put you on to me, and I will call you.
Done.
And I don't know, I'm not a therapist, but I'm definitely a guy that's, you know, fucked up a lot of things. I've lost a lot of jobs. I've done a bunch of fucking people pleasing, all of it. And I'm in a good space right now. And I accept and own everything I did, good or bad. So if I can give you a leg up and you find someone to talk to, or you just want to hear a story, I'm open.
Or just be, and this is what I offer. I offer the same thing privately. If you just need to vent, and I get it all the time from good friends, Glenn, you know, and the list goes on. But if you just need someone to talk to get you out of your head for that moment, you're fine. To get you out of your head for that moment, dude, I'm there. And I know you would be too.
Yeah. And there's a lot of resources to do that now.
Exactly. So here's what we'll do. We'll do another one of these, and we'll kind of do a PSA, and then I'll kind of work it in with this too as well. But you know, we'll touch again. We'll figure out another day to do this, and then we'll do a part 2.
I'm good with that.
Oh, good. Well, brother, listen, thank you so damn much. I appreciate you, and thank you for doing this.
I appreciate you too, and I hope whoever listens enjoy this, and that, you know, you take some action, have some boundaries.
Oh yeah.
Here's my line. My daughter, who's now 24, since my daughter Sophie, and who knows if she'll watch this, every morning I dropped her off from school and I looked at her and I said, hey, Sophie, hey, Daddy, what? Don't take any shit from anybody. Don't take any shit from anybody. And especially, and here's the woo-woo part, don't take any shit from yourself.
Exactly.
All right, man.
All right, my brother. We'll talk soon. Thank you so much. Love to you and the family.
Okay, you too. See
you
later,
brother.
man.
Bye-bye.